What was arguably the biggest fuck-up in history? In 1350, the Scots heard that England was having a spot of trouble with the bubonic plague, and decided to launch an invasion that would take advantage of the English, who were dropping like flies and would thus be easy pickings. The Scots' invading army lost 5,000 men to the plague in very short order. They decided to cut their losses and fall back to Scotland to be safe. Of course they brought the Great Plague with them, which devastated Scotland too. I think the best political fuck-up happened in 1984 when New Zealand's arrogant Prime Minister got drunk in his office late one night and called a snap election in 2 weeks' time. His government was voted out. It became known as the Schnapps election. Chernobyl. Only a fuck-up of epic proportions can cause a nuclear incident while doing a safety test. April 26th anniversary of the accident is today. Mao's push to have farmers in China produce their own steel using backyard furnaces, which lead to a wacky chain reaction eventually leading to a famine that killed millions. Also Nixon deciding to spy on the Democrats even though he almost certainly would have won re-election if he didn't. The Fourth Crusade. It started as a crusade for Jerusalem from an invasion through Egypt, and the Crusaders ended up invading Croatia and Constantinople. This also led to the weakening of the Byzantine Empire and eventually its downfall. Blockbuster not buying Netflix. Norway wanted to give Sweden 50 of our oil profits in exchange for 50 of Volvo. Sweden's government said no, as one of their minister meant that there is no future in oil. Norway's sovereign fund, the Oil Fund, can now purchase every single stock on the Swedish stock exchange and still have money left over. From an objective point of view, probably the Khwarezmian Empire pissing off the Mongols. Hitler invading the Soviet Union was bad, but at least after that fuck-up Germany continued to exist while the Khwarezmian Empire got absolutely destroyed and much of its population was massacred. In 1912 China was a functioning and promising democracy for the first time ever, and it was ruined by one General Yuan Shikai who couped the government and declared himself emperor. The wrong turn that driver made in 1914. Leaded gasoline. The story so far. In the beginning the universe was created. This has made a lot of people very angry and been widely regarded as a bad move. Hitler invading the Soviet Union, Japan attacking Pearl Harbor. Letting politicians trade stocks. Vitruvius not see the potential of steam to move things with the Heron engine. Only saw it as an amusing toy. The steam age and industrial revolution could have happened in 1st century Greece. You can't be a part of our art school. The Germans smuggling Lenin into Russia during World War I to create a revolution. So that one fish decided to try what happens when you leave the water. That's when it really started to go downhill. Allowing a handful of people control the vast majority of media. Very low stakes compared to major world events, but Tumblr basically committed instant seppuku the moment it decided to ban porn. The outbreak of World War I. The Atlanta Falcons drafting Michael Penix Jr. 8 overall after giving an enormous contract to 35-year-old Kirk Cousins. Me breaking up with Emily. I'm an idiot. Bill Clinton not authorizing an airstrike which would have killed bin Laden. The assassination of Franz Ferdinand. Corporations are people. Money is speech. These simple assertions have guided America toward more greed and more war than any other decision in history. It has set us on the path towards far worse ends than most other single events. In American history, Supreme Court's Citizens United decision, which made corporate bribery legal. Government no longer served the people from that point on. Chernobyl. The most anthropogenically destructive event ever. Don't even carbon me. Also took down the Soviet Union, and Reactor 4 is still the most deadly place on the planet and will be for 30,000 years. Hitler. He had so much scientific and mathematical talent in Germany. Germany could have been a powerhouse. I'm not advocating for Nazi bullshit. I'm just advocating for the scientific and mathematical community back in the 1930s. I think we can all agree the biggest fuck-up in history is the PlayStation 2 only having 2 controller ports instead of 4. If they had made it 4 controller ports at the start, there wouldn't be an Xbox or a Nintendo anymore. Vladimir Putin is currently a contender, with his miscalculation costing a lot of lives, expanding NATO, manpower shortages nationwide, ruble is worth about a penny now, made their demographic crisis worse, and it all still ongoing. Me not buying Bitcoin in 2011. The creation of chlorofluorocarbons and leaded gasoline. Done by the same guy. If Parliament had just given the colonies their own representation in the House of Commons, they could have likely avoided the entire Revolutionary War and the US would not have formed. We'd likely have like 9 smaller versions of Canada on the East Coast with a large Mexico and several interior Native American nations today. Lead pipes and leaded petrol. We're probably still suffering the effects of it, especially in terms of IQ. PPP loans in the US. The fraud is off the charts. The IPCC decision to go with the more conservative climate change modeling in the 1980s. Essentially, the question at the time was, does heat accumulate at the poles, or does it dissipate into space? They went with the dissipation models, even though they were in contradiction to geological evidence, because it had never been directly observed. And now, everything is sooner than expected and faster than anticipated. Yeah, because you guys fucked up. The biggest fuck up in history, by orders of degrees. Haha. In retail history, probably Sears not realizing that they were basically Amazon before Amazon. Mail order with warehouses all over the United States. How could you improve that business model? Oh, the internet, you say? Never heard of it. The Holocaust. The Big Bang. It's been all downhill since then. Hey Grug, who that? Oh, them called modern humans, just moved into area, seem nice, cool tools. I don't like how they look, we should eat them. Gronk, 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 you worry too much, we are Neanderthals, the world belongs to us. Lots of good answers here, I say lead gasoline. Moving from nomadic hunting and gathering to settled agriculture. Putting lead into gasoline for extra horsepower. Dred Scott case. Bush II's war on Iraq. They used a lie as a casus belli, the possessions of WMD. Iraq had absolutely nothing to do with 9/11. And so destroyed a country and a sunny balance to Iran. Then they fired the army, causing an Iraqi army of trained warriors to join ISIS. Complete fuck up. Linking our global economy to population growth, thus making the environmental demise of the planet inevitable. The invention of plastic. Giving religions tax-free status.